As South Africans continue to be squeezed into a tighter corner with the shocking increase in the repo rate by 50 basis points, consumers are now forced to find ways to survive, to keep up with the ever-rising cost of living. A recent study has shown that consumers are resorting to a number of saving options to put food on the table. Now, for more on that conversation, we're joined by Dov Slowatek. He's the CEO and founder of SavvySaver. Dov, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on to, this afternoon, I beg your pardon, here on the Newsfeed PM. So let's firstly look at the behavior, the trends as far as consumers are concerned. Is this something that is changing because, I suppose, of the 9 times that we have seen the interest rates go up, or has this been a pattern maybe even before that?
Hi, Tabo, and thanks for having me. Look, I think it certainly helps that. The fact that prices are increasing, as you mentioned several times, it's just putting more pressure on the consumer, which ultimately pushes the consumer to find different ways to save money. So I think through that, cashback platforms like SavvySaver allow the consumer to relieve a bit of pressure.
So what we do know, for example, is that there is a pressure on energy, so that's where the inflation is, transportation, that's where the pressure is because of the fuel costs, and of course this in turn translates into food prices also going up. So what measures are consumers putting in place to deal with those particular 3 areas?
Look, I can only really comment on the consumer goods, talking about groceries and things like that. We've seen food prices, as you mentioned, go up quite significantly, especially in the last year. So, outside of limiting the products that people are buying, we're seeing people trade down on certain products, but also working with apps like ourselves to try and, get cash back into their wallet is really what they're turning to.
Yeah. Do these cashback programs really work? I mean, how prevalent are they, and how much do they actually save for one, especially during tight times as this?
Look, there are so many different, let's call it loyalty programs out there. They certainly do work. I mean, I think some work better than others. But, if I use our platform as an example, consumers are saving in the thousands of rands. It's really a function of what they're spending on their groceries. So people spending less on their groceries are getting proportionally, the same amount, but are getting less, cash back. People that are spending more on their groceries every month are getting significantly more back.
So what is then the SavvySaver strategy that you suggest people should take so that they can get the best out of this cashback programs?
Look, in our program, it's as simple as going to the shop, looking at our app to see what brands are offering you what cashback, effectively discounts, and just taking a picture of your till slip after you shop. So it's really, really simple. And, we're working with different brands out there that are helping us, ease the burden on consumers and provide cashback to the consumer. So, from a simplicity point of view, it's really easy. If you've got a smartphone, you can go into any app store, download the SavvySaver app, and simply take a picture of your slip after you shop.
So the people who generally, when they shop, they attach a lot of value to particular brands, and some of the brands probably come at a premium. I'm sure they would struggle, I suppose, with the idea of having to swap brands. But how do you get them to get a sense that they would still be getting the same value, maybe in a far less cheaper brand?
Yeah, it's a great question. All of the brands that we work with are really great brands. They're top South African brands, so they're not downgrading in terms of product quality. They're, potentially swapping to a different brand that they're not, accustomed to. But in terms of, value and getting a good quality product, we're certainly only working with brands that we can vouch for.
Yeah. And how much would you say you close that gap by? I mean, of course, these are not exact processes. But, for example, if I was able to get groceries for 500 rands, now those same groceries are probably costing me 600 or 700 rands. How are you able to close that affordability gap through this process?
Yeah, so I mean, we've in some cases we've actually exceeded that. We've seen brands come to the party and essentially provide cash back up to like 30% of the price of the product, which, I think exceeds actually that discount. So we've seen, you mentioned a basket that went from 500 to 600 bucks. On SavvySaver, that basket could actually cost you as little as 400 bucks. So, we, at the moment, we've been really successful at combating that. Obviously, if the situation continues, I think it puts a lot of pressure, on the manufacturers and the brands themselves as well.
So, as you're saying, if the situation continues, what's the expectation from your side that this level, I suppose, of inflation would be with us for at least the next 18 months or so?
Look, I'm hoping not. I'm hoping things stabilize. But the current trend's showing that, at the moment, certainly we're continuously seeing price increases, as you alluded to earlier. So I am hoping that it remains, but probably not my field of expertise.
All right, Dov, appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on this afternoon. Dov Slowatek, CEO and founder of SavvySaver.